Good morning. How y'all doing today? This is me, Rusty 78609, Central Texas, USA. And I'm on my way somewhere. Oh, it's sprinkling rain, obviously. You get to see my windshield wipers work. Sometimes they make a little noise. I apologize. Well, I don't apologize for it. There's nothing I can do about it. They just do. So, did a few videos this morning on a variety of things. We had a major incident in this county yesterday, or excuse me, a few days ago. I mean, a major crime, major. Some guys pulled into that little grocery store back there behind me. They drove in an old gray Chevrolet pickup, and some guy had parked his fairly new Ford pickup in front and went inside and left his keys in the ignition. Well, just to show you how streetwise and alert thieves can be, if that's how you live, when they walked by his vehicle, they observed that he had left the keys. And when they left the store, they not only took their truck, but they took his truck. Okay, but anybody that leaves the keys in the ignition anywhere nowadays, maybe they want their car stolen, who knows? But that's a big event up here in the Texas Hill Country, in these little old towns where the population is really low, like 3,000 to 5,000 per town. And anyway, they got him on video, and boy, I saw the video. Yo, looked like losers from the get-go. Had a lot of what they call jailhouse rash on them, tattoos. Anyway, I'm going over to Lowe's to go walking because it was sprinkling and I couldn't go walking at home. So here we go. Anyway, I thought of a couple of things after I did a few videos. One of them was I did a video about tipping. You know, when you go somewhere to a restaurant or a bar and you get reasonably good service, you leave a tip. And the individual asked about tipping. I did a video. You'll hear all this again probably. However, one of the things I didn't think of about tipping, not only is it a way for the customer to help the employee who's not even receiving 1/4. Well, he's receiving about 1/4 of minimum wage per hour. Restaurants and bars are exempted from the federal wage and hour guidelines. They are exempted from having to pay minimum wage in the United States. Why, I don't know. But they are. And so what that implies is not only is the customer paying for their food or whatever they're buying in the restaurant or bar, but when they tip, they are also paying the wages for the individual that owns the restaurant or bar. And without those tips, that employee certainly couldn't live on, if you work 40 hours a week and they get $2 and a nickel an hour, I think. My grandson does it now. He's doing, he has a job where he gets tips, and he started it when he was in high school. He just graduated. But anyway, I don't know, man. I mean, it took a lot of political clout for some group to get their businesses exempted from having to pay minimum wage. That's amazing, isn't it? You know, I'm surprised Walmart doesn't do that, or some of the other large chains. Interesting. But what else is going on up here in the hill country other than we've got a little rain? Temperature is 75 degrees, and for this time of the year, that's a freaking miracle. And you know, I think I may have told you this. I always introduce my stories with, I think I may have told you this, because I may have. When you get a little older, you forget things that you've told people. And But I did work as a waiter a few times in my life, and the most interesting one was at the Tower of Americas in San Antonio, Texas during the early, well, probably 1970 actually. It was right after we had there was a big event there, I can't remember the name of it, and they built this tower, and up at the top it had a restaurant that revolved on this turret. It was probably up in the air about, oh, I don't know, maybe 300 feet. It was high. It was up there. And it was a huge restaurant that rotated. And whenever you worked there, what happened was the center, of course, did not rotate. That's where the kitchen was and so forth. And then the outer part rotated, and that's where the chairs and tables were for the customers to sit and have their meals, and gradually be turned around with a 360-degree view of San Antonio metropolitan area, San Antonio, Texas, USA. But as a waiter there, our waitress, what you would do, you would take the order from the table, go deliver it to the kitchen, pick up an order, and it would have a number on it, of course, a way to identify where you were going. And then you had to find it. You could either stand and wait for it to come by, which took forever, or you could go hunt it down. And it was always a little disorienting to do that. That's why I didn't do it very long. It didn't give you claustrophobia. You got like air sickness or whatever you want to call it. Vertigo, maybe. Vertigo, is that a good word? And so I didn't do it too long, maybe a month. But you got good tips there because it was a very, it was a 5-star restaurant, and people that came there tipped generously. Yeah, it was nothing to come home with $150 in tips in one night. Back then, 1970, that was a lot of money, lots. But I found a better job, not really better paying, but in line with my career choice at that time. I got a job working at a CPA firm, certified public accounting firm, downtown San Antonio at the Milam building called Rackay and Harris, a local firm, which was good. A good place to start because they only had I think they might have had 6 accountants at that time. And good place to start because you got to do, whenever you went out on an audit, you got to be part of the whole audit because these were small businesses, so you got to see from the beginning to the end, the whole process of a complete financial audit of a corporation. And the only reason corporations have to have audits and receive an opinion letter from a CPA firm is because they borrow money from banks, and they also, some of them are publicly traded, and the reliability of their records has to be validated by certified public accountants. It's changed a lot, I'm sure, in the last several years, but that was the basic function of it then. They do a lot of other things now. And but it was interesting. I enjoyed it. It was a good profession because you got to go nose around in somebody else's business, basically, and check them out. Found a few cases of fraud, not many. You found a few cases of people stealing money. You know, whenever there's money flowing through any system, there's going to be somebody trying to figure out a way to get some of it in their pocket. And given enough time, they will do it. One of the best ones I ever saw was, and this was right when computers were just beginning to be used in small and mid-sized businesses back in the the middle 70s, early 70s. And what happened was there was a young man, a programmer back then, now they call them coders, that wrote some software for our company, payroll software. And what he did was they paid the employees in odd cents. In other words, a guy could make $5.15 an hour. Now, why they did that, I don't know. But they did. It was part of their system. And so they continued it. This programmer wrote the software, and what he did is he created a fictitious employee, number one, gave it a complete identity, even gave it a social security number, which was good, valid. And all those odd cents were rounded and paid to that employee. In other words, all the employees got $5.50 an hour and no tenths. All the tenths went to this fictitious employee. And in a 500-man payroll, which this was approximately, each week, that could be a few $100s, or actually it was several $100s. And what he did is he set this guy up, this fictitious employee up, on a monthly payroll so that this employee only received a check once a month, and that the check was automatically mailed to a P.O. box. So some of the employees did that. Some of the people that traveled for the corporation had their checks. They didn't have direct deposit back then, but if they would have, it would just made it easier for him. But they directly mailed some of the checks to people that were salesmen that traveled on the road, so that the wives could get the check deposited without having to come by the office, because some of them live in rural or in different areas. So anyway, that's that story. It was pretty interesting. How did he get caught? How he got greedy, and that catches most people. He got a little greedy, and somebody asked a question. Well, wait a minute, we're supposed to have 500 employees. We got 501. It was along those lines. And who's the oddball out? And next thing you know, a guy like me starts nosing around, calculatus, eliminatus, and you find that old Buddy Jones really doesn't exist. Then you try to find out who's getting that money. And what you do is, when you mail that check to the post office, is you have somewhere there, a private detective that you hired, monitoring that post office box to see who has access to it, because all the post office will tell you is that it's in the name of, and that name didn't go anywhere because there was no physical address attached to that name other than that post office box, because you could get a P.O. box back then without having a physical address. So anyway, we monitored it. Sure enough, showed up, got caught. They didn't charge him with anything. They just asked him to pay restitution. I think he had to pay like $8,000 or $10,000 back, which he probably had more than that in the bank anyway. So anyway, what else is happening? It's a little slow up here in the hill country. I'm about tired of this rain. We've had this for about 5 days now, and that's about enough of this crap. We'll go back to the good old days of drought. Had a lot of, thank all y'all for your comments, by the way. I do appreciate them. I really do. It makes it a lot easier to come up with video ideas, and I do enjoy having some ideas all ready for me when I check my YouTube channel in the mornings. And it's pretty interesting how YouTube works. They have all the, you don't have to go to each video to find out what comments are there. What they do is they have a place where you go, it's called community. You click on that, and then the community brings up all of the comments in time order. The latest one is the last one showing up, or excuse me, the first one. First one. Or the last one is, whatever. But anyway, you guys have a great day. I'll have a great day. I'm just rambling on while I'm going over to my walk-in spot, Lowe's hardware place, Marble Falls, Texas, which y'all been down this road about as many times as I have. Oh, Lordy. Well, anyway, enjoy your day. Carpe diem. Adios. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Out of here, baby.